Constitution of India provide for a parliamentary form of government parliament system. Okay, so Article 74 and 75 deal with the parliamentary system at the center. Article 74 and 75 deal with parliamentary system at the center, and Article 163 and 164 in the state. They all work on the different manner on different place. Now, the parliamentary government is also known as cabinet government or responsible government or Westminster model of government, and is prevalent in Britain, Japan, Canada, and India among others. Okay, so the parliamentary government, जानते हैं cabinet government, responsible government or Westminster model of government, and is prevalent prevalent in Britain, Japan, Canada, India among others. Now, the modern democratic government are classified into parliamentary and presidential on the basis of nature of relations between the executive and the legislative organ of the government. Okay, the parliamentary system of government is the one in which the executive is responsible to the legislature for its policies and acts. The present system of government, on other hand, is the one in which the executive is not responsible to the legislature for its policy and act, and is constitutionally independent of legislature in respect of its term of office. So, present system of government in which executive is not responsible to the legislature. Legislature, executive is not responsible. They are both separate things. Legislature working is other thing, and executive working is other thing. But it is not the case in the parliamentary system, because they both are dependent on each other on different levels. Now, the presidential government, on the other hand, is also known as non-responsible or non-parliamentary or fixed executive system of government, and is prevalent in USA, Brazil, Russia, Sri Lanka among others. To prevent की spelling है PREVALENT, PREVALENT, prevalent. Now, जो Ivor Jennings थे called the presidential system as the cabinet system, because the cabinet is the nucleus of power in the parliamentary system. They knows that it is the nucleus in power of parliament system. The parliamentary government is also known as responsible government. As the cabinet, the real executive is accountable to parliament. Means every work is done by a cabinet. So basically, he knows that cabinet is the foremost and important thing. So basically, he appoint and he take him as the real person who is real executive. Okay, in parliamentary system, because he done everything, and he stay in the office as long as he enjoy the later confidence. Till the time he enjoy the later confidence, LATTERS, means the everyone is his confidence on his nature. The time he is on the seat, he is the enjoy his office. Okay, it is described as Westminster model of government after the location of British Parliament. Okay, so the name Westminster government or government is because of the British Parliament, where the parliamentary system is originated. So this parliamentary system is from Britain. Okay. In the past, the British constitution and political expert described the prime minister as the primus inter pares. Okay, means first among equal in relation to the cabinet. Means he is the prime minister. His power, influence, and position has increased significantly. Vice versa, the cabinet. Okay. So his dominant role in British political administrative system. CPM is a dominant role, okay, in the British, and hence the later political analysts like Crossman, Mackintosh, and other had described the British system of government as prime ministerial government. Okay, the same description hold good in the Indian context too. So Indian context also have the prime ministerial government. So features of parliamentary government, there is first point, nominal and real executive. The president is the nominal executive. ठीक है, president is nominal executive, the jure executive or titular executive, while the prime minister is the real executive. Okay, de facto executive. So the president is the head of state. He is the head of state. Well, the prime minister is the head of government. Article 74 provides for a councils of minister headed by prime minister to aid and advise the president in the exercise of his function. So, prime minister aid. Prime minister advise the prime minister. Sorry, prime minister advise the president. So PM has more power than president because he is advising the simply president what is work and what is functions. So and the what is whatever the PM said is binding to the president itself. Second, majority party rule, we all know that the political party which secure maximum seat in the Lok Sabha form the government, and the leader of the party is appointed as a PM of by the president. Okay, and the other minister are being appointed by president on the advice of PM itself. So when no single party is being majority, then a coalition of parties may be invited by the president to form the government. So the coalition spelling COALITION, COALITION. Now third point, collective responsibility. So the minister of a collective responsible parliament in general means in Article 75 Parliament general and to Lok Sabha in particular. Okay. So what this mean is that it is on Article 75. Means if they act as they swim and sink together, either they swim or sink together. Means the principle of collective responsibility means that Lok Sabha can remove the minister, councils or minister headed by prime minister from the office by passing a vote of no confidence. If a vote of no confidence is being passed, then ministers and prime minister headed by prime minister are being removed easily, okay, from the power. Now political homogeneity, okay. So usually the member of council or minister belong to the same political party, hence they share the same political ideology. They have the same political ideology. In case of coalitional government, the minister are bound by consciousness, okay, agreed between the groups of people. Consciousness, CONSENSUS, consciousness, agreed, conscious meaning agreed between groups of people, agreement between groups of people. Now fifth point, double memberships. The ministers are the member of both legislature and executive. This means that person cannot be minister without being a member of parliament. So if you are not the member of parliament, you cannot be the minister. If you are, then you have to join it in period of 6 consecutive months. If you're not, then you are being removed. Now 6th point, leadership of prime minister. So prime minister play the leadership role, and he is the leader of council of minister, leader of the parliament, and the leader of the party in the power. So he is everything, PM is everything. Now 7th, dissolution of lower house. The lower house parliament, Lok Sabha, can be dissolved by president on the recommendation of prime minister. If prime minister said to the president that Lok Sabha has been dissolved, then it is being done by president. In other words, the prime minister can advise president to dissolve Lok Sabha before the expiry of his term and hold fresh election. Okay, so this is the power of PM. Secrecy. So the minister operate on the principle of secrecy of procedure and cannot divulge information about the proceeding, policy and decision. So they take the oath of secrecy before entering their office. So it is very necessary that nothing policy, nothing proceeding or anything about decisions are being leaked. If leaked, they have to face the consequences. So secrecy, 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 SECRECY. Now the divulge information, DIVULGE. Now features of president government. The features of presidential government. Unlike the Indian Constitution, the American Constitution provides for presidential form of government. So the features of American presidential system of government are follows. First, American president is both head of state and the head of government. As head of state, occupy a ceremonial position, CEREMONIAL. ceremonial, CERAMONIAL, ठीक है. As the head of government, he lead the executive organ of government. So he enjoy the both. As the head of state, he occupy a ceremonial position. As the head of government, he lead the executive organ of the government. Now, second, president is elected by electoral college for a fixed tenure for 4 years. He cannot be removed by Congress except by impeachment for a grave unconstitutional act. 4 year fixed tenure. With the help, he can rule with the help of kitchen cabinet, a smaller cabinet, and it is only an advisory body and consisted of non-elected department secretaries. They are selected and appointed by him and responsible only to him and can be removed by him anytime. Third, the president and his secretaries are not responsible to Congress for their act. They neither possess membership in the Congress nor attend its session. Now, president cannot dissolve the House of Representatives, the lower house of Congress. Last point, the doctrine of separation in the power is based of American presidential system. The legislature, executive, and judicial power of government are separated and vested in the 3 independent organs of the government. So these are the features of presidential government. Now, merits of parliamentary system. First, harmony between legislature and executive. So it ensures harmonious relationship and cooperation between the legislative and executive organs of government. The executive is a part of legislature and both are interdependent at work. Okay. So there is less scope for dispute and conflict between the two organs. So there are merits that okay. So there are harmonious in legislation and executive. So there is no fight between them. This is also the reason why we implement the parliamentary system. Responsible government. So the nature is the parliament system establishes a responsible government. Ministers are responsible to the parliament for their all act of omission and commission and exercise control over the minister through various devices like question, hours, discussion, adjournment motion, no confidence motion, etc. etc. Third, prevent despotism. ठीक है. The executive authority is vested in a group of individual councils of minister and not in single person. So this dispersal authority check the dictatorial tendency of executive. Moreover, the executive is responsible to parliament and can be removed by a no confidence motion. So basically, it cannot autocracy. This is the advantage. There is ready alternate government if the majority party lose confidence. So the alternate government, the opposition party, take over the things. And wide representation. So in parliamentary system, as we know, the executive consists of group of individual. Okay, so the minister who are representative of the people, these are the representatives of people. So basically, a wide representation. And second, the merits of parliamentary system, unstable government because not provide a stable government, a government can survive its tenure. There is no guarantee that it survive its tenure. And minister depend mercy on the majority legislature for their continuity and survival in the office. If there is not majority, then anytime they are out. Second, no continuity of policy. One government come and implement the other government policies, and this is goes on. If Congress came, it remove BJP policies, and if BJP come, it remove Congress policy. Third one is dictatorship of the cabinet. Sometimes if the ruling party is on absolute majority, then it is becoming autocracy because like Modi government, because he's getting the so much seat, so he become autocratic. Okay, he knows that nobody can remove him. So this is his basically idea of getting is bar 400 par. Okay, so the slogan is because to get the maximum seat so that nobody can remove him, and he came in absolute power. That's it. Now fourth point, against separation of powers. Now, in parliament system, the legislature and executive are together and inseparable. You cannot separate. The cabinet act as leader of legislature as well as the executive. Okay. Hence, the whole system of government goes against the letter and spirit of the theory of separation of power. There is no separation of power. In fact, there is a fusion of power. So, executive, if if means simply if they somehow get the control of legislative and executive. If executive one control the legislative one, and if we got the majority in parliament, then there is a fusion of power, and this is a somehow dangerous thing. Now, fifth point, government of amateurs, AMATEURS, because system is not conducted to administrative efficiency, as the minister are not, they are not expert in their field. Okay. So, and most of their the time they are devoted to their work in parliamentary work, cabinet meeting, and party activity. So we can say that these ministers are just from basic things. And also, prime minister had limited choice in the selection of minister, because he has choices to restrict the member of parliament alone and does not extend to the external talent. So basically cannot pick from the external source. So this restrict them and make the cabinet as useless shit, because they are just electing any non-talented person. Now, comparing parliamentary and presidential system, parliamentary system is features dual executive, whereas president is single executive. Parliament system majority party rule, and president and legislature elected separately for a fixed term. And third one, in parliamentary system there is a collective responsibility, but in presidential system there is not responsibility. Parliamentary system, fourth point, political homogeneity, but in presidential system there is political homogeneity may not exist. In presidential system there is no political homogeneity. In parliamentary system there are double membership, means in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but in presidential system there is only a single membership. In parliamentary system there is a leadership of prime minister, but in presidential system there is a domination of president is in dominant nature. Parliamentary system there is a dissolution of lower house, but in presidential system there is no dissolution of lower house. Parliamentary system there is a fusion of powers, but in presidential system there is separation of powers are being separated. And merits of parliamentary system, first, harmony between legislature and executive, but in presidential system there is demerits, conflict between legislature and executive. Parliamentary system is a responsible government, prevent despotism and wide representation, but in presidential system there is a non-responsible government may lead to autocracy, means a person rule of single person rule and narrow representation. And there is demerits of parliamentary system, that unstable government, no continuity of policy, against separation of powers, government of amateurs. But in presidential system, merits, that they are stable government, definite in policy. Definite in policy means if they make policy they follow on that, based on separation of power, means presidential system there is a no linkage between president and the parliament, and government by expert, the home of a person who is expert in their field simply become the cabinet. These are the minister for the particular thing. So they make the policy and making the best out of policies. This is the big difference. So why India has parliamentary system, not presidential system? Because familiarity of system, because from the British rule we are familiar with the parliamentary system. Second, preferences to more responsibility. So B. Ambedkar pointed out in Constitutional Assembly that a democratic executive must satisfy two conditions. First, stability and responsibility. Unfortunately, it has been not possible so far to deserve a system which can ensure both in equal degree. We know that and there is no any system that ensures both things, like stability and responsibility. Like the American Constitution gave more stability but less responsibility. Okay, it is more stable, but less responsibility. But British system on the other hand give more responsibility but less stability. So the draft committee simply recommended the parliament system of executive prefer more responsibility to more stability. ठीक है. So basically they say that, yeah, okay, the responsibility more it's okay but less stability. So we bear the more we bear the less stability, but we cannot bear the less responsibility. So we, because of that, we preference to more responsibility rather than being a more stability, because we know that if we are not stable enough, it is okay, but if we are not responsible enough, it is being not okay. Now third one is to avoid legislative and executive conflicts. We cannot afford that executive work in another direction and legislative work on another direction, because we know we wants a harmony between them. Because to make something good for people, we want harmony. So basically we want a parliamentary system for that. And in nature of Indian society, we know that there is so many spirits and so many religions are being there and heterogeneous states are being there. So basically to count for every one of them and make satisfy every one of them. So basically electing people from that and then making party and all that shit we do because of that, because parliament system give us opportunity to make every people represent on that, and hence there is no need to replace it by a president system. So that's it.